Energy is all around us, right? Energy generally comes from the sun. I mean, all energy ultimately, except for a little bit of geothermal energy and the molten part of the planet from heat, comes from the sun. And the trick is, how do we use the sun directly instead of using ancient sunlight, which is fossil fuels? So we're really living on ancient sunlight, stuff that was made millions of years ago, as we bring fossil fuels up from the ground. And as we know, as we bring things up from the ground, there's not an unlimited supply. At some point, you're going to run out. At some point, when it gets harder and harder to refine those things, the price goes up. Where do we get our electricity from? It's a great question. You turn on the light switch and magically your lights go on. Okay, so when you turn on your light, we go back to the Martin Drake power plant to get the energy here, okay? What Martin Drake does to get the energy is to burn coal. When we burn the coal, we transform the chemical bonds in that coal to boil water and make steam. That steam is used to turn turbines to make electricity, and that electricity then has to be transmitted to your outlet here.
My name is Greg. I'm the duty operator on the Colorado College heat plant. Come on inside. This heat plant, as the name implies, is where the heat in your rooms come from. We also have a chiller plant here where your air conditioning comes from. Our first generator generates 35 million BTUs. Second generator is 40 million BTUs, and our third generator generates.
The other important question, though, maybe more important, is what is all the carbon dioxide that's being generated from burning these fossil fuels doing to our climate? So when I'm asked the question of what pollutants is Martin Drake putting out, carbon dioxide is classified as a pollutant according to the EPA regulations now. Of course, the other pollutants that Martin Drake puts out are sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides and mercury, which are not very good for human health in their own right.
Colorado College's goal is to be carbon neutral by 2020.
We've set one of the most ambitious carbon neutrality goals in the country, and I admire the way CC did it.
A lot of the renewable energy projects and our carbon neutrality goals were student-driven.
So what does net carbon neutral mean? We have to use carbon on campus, right? We're going to use lights to educate students. We're going to have projectors. We're going to have to heat our buildings.
Carbon neutrality really means that on a net basis, you're having no impact on atmospheric carbon levels. So anything that you emit, it's emitting as little as possible, and anything that you can't avoid emissions, you're offsetting that.
We come up with things like wind power and solar power in large amounts, and sometimes even in small rooftop systems, that can actually displace the amount of energy we use here.
There's a lot of rooftop solar going on right now. Most of it's hard to see because it's on flat buildings on top of tall roofs, but it's out there.
And so that's the commitment we've made, is that we have no net carbon produced on this campus by the investments that we make in our energy strategy. And I know students often think in their 4 years here that they don't have a lot of power in terms of determining campus principles in a lot of ways, but they do.
Most of the things that are deviations from business as usual were student projects. The CC farm was originally a student project, the greenhouse, a lot of the renewable energies, and I really try and leverage that the students really are the change agents on our campus, and they come with excellent ideas that we really need to propel forward. That's our job in many ways, is to try new things and come up with new ideas.